Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast. Lion on Main, episode 53 of Lion on Main. Now, if you know, last episode was 52, and 52 weeks makes up a year. If you do the math, 7 days multiplied by 52 weeks, and you get whatever the number is for a year. And, I knew that. You probably knew that. And because I was talking about it. Literally just a couple episodes before 52, I was talking about how we're coming up to episode 52, right? And then I totally fucking missed it. That's like a weird thing with me. Like I prepare for shit, and then like the day shit's supposed to go down, I just completely blank. And that's exactly what happened with 52. I was looking forward to it. It was like, okay, 52, this is going to be great. It's a year. I had no plans for the episode. I was kind of thinking that I should, because it's 52, it's a year. It's a big milestone, I guess. And but I had nothing planned. I just kept getting hyped for it. I was like, yo, it's going to be sick. No plans whatsoever. And then the day came to record it, and I was just like, normal day, normal podcast. Whatever. I was even typing out the title when I put episode 52. It didn't even dawn on me that it was a year. I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, 52. Okay, throw that shit up. I completely missed it. But after I remembered, I was like, you know what? I'll just have the next episode be like the year episode, and I want to take this time to reflect on the past year, reflect on the progress of this podcast. You know what I mean? So I started this podcast in February, obviously, because not anymore. We're in March now, but when I started this a week ago, it was in February. So I started this podcast in February, and I kind of did it because I kind of wanted a means to express myself in like long form. You know what I mean? Like I never really had an outlet to just like if something came to my mind, just like speak it out. You know what I'm saying? Like what in like a normal daily life, what could you do where you could like do that? You know what I'm saying? So I kind of wanted to do that. And, I talked to my friends before about like possibly doing a podcast. And in fact, I believe actually I mentioned this, but in fact, me and a couple of my buddies actually did one episode of this podcast idea that we had. We only recorded one episode, and like that was it. It was about Universal. And it's because like we were talking about, we're like, I think it would be kind of fun. So we made one episode, and then we never recorded any others. And I was very proud of it at the time, though looking back, it was kind of cringy, but it's a good cringe. It's a happy memory cringe. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, we never recorded another episode. And then there was like another friend of mine, and she was talking about wanting to do a podcast, and I was like, well, like, let's do it, And then like we never did. And like I'm not blaming anyone. It's just like we never really found the time to just like get together, sit down, and like do a podcast. And plus, like we didn't have any tools to do that, like our first podcast with my two friends, the one episode we did, we just recorded it on my friend's phone. And it was like pretty shitty quality. Like there's like a shit ton of background noise. Like you hear rides going on in the background, because we recorded it at Universal, because we're like, dude, this is like so dope. A Universal podcast in Universal. I didn't even think if there was going to be any legal issues with that. Like, would there be? I have no idea. But like, it dawned on me like way after we recorded. I was like, it's probably a good thing we didn't post that, because I feel like we probably would get sued by Universal. We're like, hey, you can't do this in our park. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. Anyways, yeah. So never started a podcast, and I just really want to start a podcast. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck it, dude. Let's just do it. So got a mic. I didn't have a camera. I just got a mic when I first started. And I was kind of like looking at other people's podcasts and I was like, okay, everyone generally does an hour. And I was thinking like, dude, this could be easy. Talking to myself for an hour. It's pretty ambitious of me, but I thought it was going to be easy. And so, I just got the mic and sat down to record my first episode. Like I actually went through like 2 or 3 first drafts of the first episode. Like I would record up to like 30 minutes and I'd be like, dude, this episode sucks. And I would just like delete it and redo it. Yeah, I did not keep the original takes. Thinking back, I probably should have. Probably be a cool thing to reflect on. But no, I just deleted it. I was like, no, we don't need this. We don't need that. No. So I deleted it, and I pushed myself for the first 2 episodes to record to an hour. And I think in the end, generally, they were okay. But like, after I did the second episode, I was like it kind of, like, when I was recording it, when I got into like the second half of that hour, I kind of felt while I was recording that I was kind of like fishing for ideas and I was like pushing myself. And like, I kind of felt that maybe towards the end, the content was getting kind of stale. And I was like, might as well just like record up until I'm ready to be finished. And then I just end the episode. And that way the episode is only like the good shit, the shit that I was like really passionate about at the beginning. You know what I'm saying? And so subsequent episodes, I just record up until I'm done, until I'm like, yeah, I'm done. But yeah, so first 2 episodes, welcome to cringe. I think the second one was something about Titanic, I think. I think it was something about like going on a cruise and like they would recreate the Titanic experience like fully. No idea where that came from. But yeah, more episodes. I did some, I'm trying to think about like shit I've talked about. Like I said, I think I talked about my old podcast somewhere. I don't know which episode it was, but I feel like I talked about it at some point. Talked a lot about Instagram at the beginning, because there's just so much shit on Instagram to talk about. Like recently I've been like going on Instagram and like getting some ideas of like new shit to talk about, but I feel like I've talked about Instagram way too much in this podcast. And so I kind of like am putting it off for like later episodes or something like that. I just hope whatever trend is going on Instagram that's like cringe, I hope it stays until I'm ready to talk about it so it's like still relevant. But yeah. Let's see, what other episodes? Oh yeah, Yik Yak came back. I mean, this year was the past few years have been eventful. I know I come on this podcast a lot of times and I was like, dude, nothing happened this week. But looking back in the year, like a lot of shit went down. There's a lot of shit going down right now, You know what I'm talking about. I might as well take this moment to just say that my thoughts are going out to Ukraine. I wish there's something more that we could do without starting an all-out nuclear war. I feel like there's some more stuff that we can do. But I'm not in a position of power, so I don't know what all the options are and what all the repercussions of those decisions are. But just thoughts and prayers out to the people of Ukraine, and I hope it gets resolved quickly. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of news stories about Ukraine keeping Russia back, so let's hope Russia just gets tired and leaves or something, or those sanctions actually start working on them. Start hitting their pockets. They're like, dude, we can't afford to keep doing this shit. Anyways, I just want to take that moment because, like, I kind of feel awkward just like doing a regular podcast and not mentioning what's going on. I just kind of feel like something should be at least said. Anyways, but yeah, I mean that's like the biggest thing going on right now. But like a lot of smaller shit went down. Like I was talking about, Yik Yak came out, which Yik Yak came out and died immediately. There's one person I see on Instagram that like there's like an Instagram account or something that like posts some of like I guess the best Yik Yaks or something. And there's like this one person I follow and she just keeps putting that shit on her story. And I'm like, dog, you still use that? Like who's using that? You and just that one person. How much want to bet like all the time all the yaks she posts on her story is just like hers. But she's like, oh, whose is this? Because it's all anonymous. Anyways, yeah, Yik Yak came back, and dude, I was on, like I did for that podcast, I was on for like a week or so just to get some like really good responses back when it first came out. And for a little bit, I was kind of like on Yik Yak, and I was like, dude, this is actually not that bad. It's not as bad as it used to be. And then after a few days of being on it, then the shit came out. All the really crazy shit, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is why I deleted Yik Yak back in 2015. So, yeah, I mean, who uses Yik Yak anymore? Who uses that? I mean, is it even still out? Like, is it still out, or did it die again? I have no idea. Yeah, Yik Yak. I talked about like AIs. Good names for like AIs, and like why all virtual assistants are female, which I still wonder why that's a thing. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just like, why is the assistant always a female? What is big tech trying to say? But yeah, talk about some good names for, like a virtual assistant. I think for a male, I think I said David, and what was the one? Oh yeah, it was Talia for the girl. Like I think I even named the episode Talia. So yeah, what was some other? Oh yeah, so I had the Bone Zone that came out. The Bone Zone was going on for a little bit there. People probably wondering like what happened to the Bone Zone. I kind of put the Bone Zone on hold for a little bit because there was like a little bit towards the end of the Bone Zone. It kind of felt like when I would go to record the Bone Zone, everything that I would have talked about in that episode, I already talked about in like the main episode. And so it was kind of harder to come up with ideas for the Bone Zone, or even vice versa. Like sometimes I'd come up with really good shit for the Bone Zone, and then like the regular episode comes out, I'm like, dude, I don't even know what to talk about. I just said everything I wanted to say on the Bone Zone. So I kind of put the Bone Zone on hold so I, don't have to stretch content. It was sort of like, well, I was talking about at the beginning with the first two episodes, like when I got to that second half of the hour, kind of felt like I was fishing for ideas. That's what it kind of felt like sometimes when I had the Bone Zone going on. So I figured I was like, I'll bring back the Bone Zone when, when I get some more ideas flowing, So something a lot of people have been asking me throughout this entire year of the podcast is like when I'm going to bring guests onto the show. And I keep saying like, I'm going to do it. And like, I still haven't done it a whole last year, and I haven't brought on a guest. And, it's just like, I got to get another mic and all that stuff. And I just haven't gotten the time to go out and just like get another mic and, reach out to people and like say, hey, do you want to come in on this day and all that stuff? Like, especially now with like the short film that I'm doing for my class. And then, just this week, we got the green light to start on our second short film. Like, we're not even finished with the first one yet. This is like these 2 or 3 weeks or whatever is production week for the first short film, and we're already getting started on the second short film. And the second short film is even more work because you got to come up with a script for it. The first short film, like, you're given a script, but for the second one, you got to write one yourself. And so, just like with all that going on, along with all my other classes, I just haven't really had the time to like do something like that. But it's definitely still on the board of things to do. Bring guests on, because I do want to bring a guest onto the show. And so I kind of think maybe that would be a time to bring back the Bone Zone. Like have guest appearances be the Bone Zone episodes, and then like the regular episodes stay regular episodes and all that shit. But yeah, let me know what you think about that, because I'm thinking that's probably going to be the best way to do it. Or maybe we could do vice versa, whatever you guys want. Yeah, I probably should do it vice versa, because the Bone Zone is only on YouTube. So yeah, just like shit to think about, reflecting on the year, things I coulda, shoulda, woulda done, some other stuff I talked about. What else did I talk about? Instagram, Yik Yak, AIs, Titanic. I mean, I talked about making a movie, which I do have an update on my movie making that I'm going to tell you guys about in this episode. What else did I talk about? Metaverse, Super Bowl, the metaverse, which still don't understand the metaverse. And I actually found out recently that it's not even out yet, And so I assume all the shit that I've been seeing of people like in the metaverse is all like beta testers, I guess. And so I'm kind of like, when's the metaverse coming out? Also, like, all I've heard is like how bad it is. So I don't know why Facebook is still going through with it. But yeah, metaverse, making pot coffee. Don't remember what that was about, but I remember that was the name of an episode. Bone Zone Halloween special. That was I love that episode. If I'm being honest, like that was the edited episode. That like usually like if you've been watching the podcast, podcast is just like sit down, just record the video, no edits, just like unfiltered talk, But for the Bone Zone Halloween special, I kind of want to switch it up a little bit. I kind of want to make an edited video, and so I did that. That was a lot of work, editing that episode, and like I think it ended up being like a 30-minute episode. Even with all the edits and the cuts and all the shit I took out of the episode, it was still a pretty long episode, and I'm very happy about that. I loved the end part with the reading the weird DMs. Still love that shit. I'm also proud of my my title work in that episode, with the Stranger Things going on and how it all comes together to say "Lying on Main." Love that shit. That took a long time to make. If I'm being honest, like I had to use After Effects. I had to like go to school like every day because I don't have Adobe Premiere on my laptop because my laptop can't run that, or Adobe Creative Suite, I should say. And I had to use After Effects, and I had to completely make all those letters, do all the lighting and all that crazy shit, and I had to do all the movements, and it was a lot of work, but it was a lot of fun. And so I hope you guys enjoyed the Bone Zone Halloween special as much as I did. I kind of wanted to do something for Christmas, but I didn't have time to do it. I had a lot of Christmas plans going on, so I didn't have time to do a completely different new Bone Zone Christmas special. But that's definitely something that I would like to do for this year. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, all in all, I think it was a pretty good year. What do you guys say? Pretty good year? Pretty good podcast? Pretty good for Lying on Main? Anyway, so I guess it's time I give you an update on the making of the short film. So I think when I was talking to you guys, I was talking about, trying to get things set up to do some filming with the actors and like how much trouble we went through to get the location and all that stuff. And so we actually got the location approved. It was like on Thursday of last week. We finally got the location approved to film on Sunday from 1 to 5. Okay, that's what my professor told me. He's like, okay, I got you guys in for Sundays from 1 to 5. Okay, we also tried to get Mondays, but he said Mondays was difficult for them, and so he's like, but we're good on Sundays because campus is closed. It's gonna be open. So we're like, okay, great. So immediately after we got approval for that, we reached out to our actors and we said, hey, are you guys available to meet? Well, actually, we knew that they're available on Sundays afternoons. So we just went into the group chat and said, hey, we got the location approved for Sunday 1 to 5. We're going to use that to film, right? We told them right then and there, Sunday, we're filming 1 to 5, right? And this was on Thursday because, like I said, it was right after we found out the location was approved. So I email the tech guy, ask him if we can check out all the stuff for that day, for that time. He's like, yeah, that's great. It will be here. We worked with another group because the camera we're using, the batteries die way too fast. And so we have a charger for it. So we just have to plug the camera in and we don't have to worry about batteries and all that stuff. And so another group was also using that model camera, and there's only one charger. And so we're like, hey, are you guys going to be done with it by Sunday? And they're like, yeah, we'll be done. And so we got them to bring the charger over. Everything was planned out, right? We're all ready to go. And I didn't really think about it because, like, if I'm being honest, like, I don't pay attention to this movie group chat we got going on. Like, I hop in when I need to, but I mean, there's not really a whole lot of stuff to talk about unless there's like a big event, like our location got approved. Like, I don't know what else to talk about. And so I didn't even realize that they hadn't responded yet. So come Sunday, I stop at not Chick-fil-A. I stop at a like a McDonald's for lunch, drive into school, right? And I get to campus like 12:30, right? I'm there early, because I'm like, dude, we gotta bang this out, right? And also I was thinking we get there at 12:30, so then we could just gather all our stuff and bring it over, and we could start right at 1:00, right when everyone gets there. And right when I get there at 12:30, I'm sitting there for a little bit and I'm waiting, and my director was there, and we're both waiting. And then my phone buzzes, and I check, and it's the actress, and she says, "Okay," with a thumbs up. And I was like, what? So I opened the group chat, and she just responded to my director's initial text when he said that we had the location from 1 to 5 and we were filming. She just responded, okay, to that. And I'm like, okay, well, at least she acknowledged it, right? And I was thinking like maybe that was her way of saying also that she was like on the way or something like that. And then like a few minutes later, it's like 12:50, she sends another text and she's like, wait, are we filming today? And I'm like, what kind of question is that? What do you mean, are we filming today? We said on Thursday we're filming on Sunday from 1 to 5. What other Sunday could we be talking about? If it was the Sunday after, we would have said the following Sunday. But we said this Sunday, meaning it was this upcoming one. What do you mean, are we filming today? And I was kind of like staring at that. I'm like, I don't even know how to respond to this. And then like, before I could say anything, the actor responded, and he's like, oh, I have work at 4:30, so I may not be there the whole time. And I'm like, what? You're telling us this now? And so I just responded. I was like, yeah, we're filming today, and can I assume that you'll be here from 1 to whenever you have to leave for work? And they're both like, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we could do that. And I was like, okay, well, at least you guys are available, to do some filming, right? So the actors arrive late, and we bring the stuff over, and we kind of got started around like 1:20, 1:30 or something like that. We got everything set up, and we started recording, and it was just me and the director. Our sound guy wasn't even there yet, and we're like, where is this guy? He should know. It's like 1 to 5. He didn't get there until 2:00. I have no idea what took him so long, but I had to work the microphone and the camera, which was a pain in the ass, but it was doable. And here's the thing. This was just like a dress rehearsal, right? This was just practicing shots, practicing the camera, and, practicing with the actors and all that shit. So like, it wasn't official or anything, right? So I wasn't expecting groundbreaking acting performances from these guys, okay? But I wasn't expecting what we got either, okay? So we were, like I said, these are pre-made scripts, right? We were given a script to film about for this film. And so we've had these scripts for a long time. And I know that the actors have the script for a long time because we're doing this in conjunction with them. And so obviously that they started preparing the same time we started preparing. And also weeks before we did this filming, the actress thought we didn't have the script. And so she printed out scripts for all of us in the production team because she thought we didn't have them. And I'm like she thought we didn't know what we were filming. And I'm like, what the fuck do you think we're doing? You think we were just told, hey, you're shooting some movie, you don't know what, but just be prepared. Like, but whatever, I took the script. I was like, hey, thank you. I'm just trying to be nice or whatever. And also, when we've met before, the actors have practiced reading their lines to each other and all that stuff. So we're coming into this practice run through. My mind is of the thinking that they got these lines down, right? I wasn't expecting them to memorize the entire script. It's like a 2-3 minute long short film, I wasn't expecting to have the entire script memorized. I wasn't expecting all their lines to be memorized, but I was expecting at least some to be like memorized, you know? And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. And I'm like there was like this one situation. There was like these couple lines. There was like 8 lines total. It was like 4 for each character. It was like a back and forth, right? One character was like, why wouldn't he tell me anything? The other one says something like, he didn't want you to worry. He says back, what, did he say something to you? She said something like, yeah, but I can't tell you. And he's like, but I'm his friend. And she says something like, it's not my place, right? Dude, I got these fucking lines down and I didn't even read the script until Sunday, okay? Like, I've had the script, but I never bothered reading it because, like, it doesn't pertain to me, you know? So it was just these few lines, right? It was just short 1-sentence lines. Wasn't paragraphs, just 1-sentence lines, right? Back and forth, 8 lines total. And we're thinking like, dude, this is like a short segment, right? They got this down. They couldn't get past like the second line. You know? It'd be like, why didn't he tell me anything? He didn't want you to worry. And then the actor would just blank. He's like, what's next? I'm like, dude, think about a logical conversation. What would you say next? You would be asking, what did he say? And guess what? That's the next line. So like, just keep going. So he, would just stand there. And it'll be like vice versa. Like maybe the next time she'll blank or whatever. And the actress was even crazier to me because she had her lines right in front of her. She was sitting at a desk because for this scene, I believe I talked about this, but this guy goes to a crisis center and the girl is working there at the reception desk, right? And they know each other and she doesn't want other people to know that she works there. And that's basically the gist of the story, right? And so she's sitting at a desk and she has her lines right in front of her. And I'm like, dog, you could just like look down, read your line and continue it, right? This doesn't have to be a perfect run through, you know? Like I said, I don't expect you to have all your lines memorized. But what I wasn't expecting was like, why didn't he tell me anything? He didn't want you to worry. That's what I was not expecting. I was expecting some sort of continuation, you know? And so like, we're just going through tons of memory, right? Just like recording useless footage, right? And like for that one scene, we did like 20 takes and it got to a point where the director's like, you know what? We're just going to cut the line short, right? We're just going to do the first 4 lines. And like, dude, we barely got through the first 4 lines. Then after we got a few good takes of the first 4 lines, we did the same for the next 4 lines and all that stuff. And like, I'm just kind of standing there like working the camera and I'm like, dude, this is insane, you know? And that's not even the worst part, okay? The worst part was like when we first started, okay? Right when we first started, okay? The actor, he has the very first line in the entire short film. He has the first line, okay? There's no line before it. There's no like cue or anything like that. Like he just walks up and he says the line, okay? And it even says that in the script. It says the guy in the show, the character, his name is Jake. It says in the script, it says Jake walks up to the reception desk and asks, then it has this line that says, is this the crisis center, right? That's it. He starts the show, okay? And so when he walks up, he has to, there's like a customer per se. I don't know if that's what you would call them, but there's a customer at the reception desk and he's talking to the receptionist, right? And he sort of like, Jake sort of walks in the crisis center, right? He sees the customer talking to a receptionist and he just like walks up and it almost seems like he kind of like peers around the customer and says something like, is this the crisis center? Like just to make sure, kind of like butting into their conversation or something like that. And then the show gets rolling, right? We got the lines back and forth. Everything's going great, right? And so we say, okay, we're going to practice this shot. We're going to practice Jake walking into frame and delivering his line, right? And so Jake goes off screen. He's like at the front door. We got the customer at the desk, and we got the receptionist talking to him. And director calls action, right? And Jake is supposed to walk up and do the line. And I'm filming. Jake's not moving. He's just standing there, out of frame. And after like 10 seconds, the director calls cut, and he's like, okay, Jake, you have to walk up to the desk, right? And he's like, oh, yeah, okay, I got it. And I'm like, okay, maybe brain fart, didn't really realize what was going on, whatever, no big deal. So we do a second take. Doesn't move, stays standing. And I'm like, what is wrong with this guy, We just told him he has to walk up, so the director had to call cut again. He's like, Jake, you have to walk up. And he's like, oh, yeah, I got it. And the director's like, you know what? This is what we're going to do. Because the director was standing in for the customer. Because we only get 2 actors, right? And there's like 4 characters total in this short film, right? So the director's standing in for the customer. And then there's a doctor that comes up and talks to the receptionist. And I'm going to be standing in for the doctor because I got a lab coat. I don't know where I got it from, but I have one. So we're just going to use that. And I'm going to be a doctor for like 10 seconds. But, yeah, so the director who's standing in for the customer, he's like, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to pretend to talk with the receptionist. And at a certain point, I'm going to like hit the desk, right? Because we can edit out that sound in post-production. He's like, I'm going to hit the desk, and that's your cue to walk up, right? And so the guy who plays Jake, I'm just going to call him Jake. Jake's like, got it, And so we do the next take. The guy hits the desk. Jake just walks up and gets in line. It doesn't say anything. And so the director calls cut again. He's like, Jake, you gotta do your line. He's like, you gotta come up like next to me, and you gotta say like, is this the crisis center? And he's like, oh yeah, dude, sorry, forgot. And I'm like, dude, this is your whole job. How do you forget how to do your job? I was like, okay, whatever. So we do the next take, and Jake, the director hits the desk. Jake walks up next to the customer at the desk, and it just stands at the desk looking at the receptionist and doesn't say a word. And the director calls cut. He's like, Jake, you gotta say your line. And like, I'm at a point where I butt in, and I'm like, Jake, you had the first line of the show. You start this whole thing. You have to deliver your line. No one's gonna prompt you to say your line. You just have to say it. Okay? You start the show. And so he's like, okay, I got it. And then we did another take, and he just walked up to the desk and didn't say anything. And we're like, dude. Finally, he was able to say his line after like the 3rd time. He finally walked up and said his line, and we were able to continue on. We did a few more takes of that, and he miraculously, he had it down for the next few takes as well. But yeah, and so we got through that beginning part. And I was kind of thinking, 1 to 5, I was like, dude, considering this is like a 2-minute short film, I was like, dude, we'd probably be able to get at least a good practice run through of the entire short film, right? And I was also thinking that like we'd be able to get in other angles of the camera, because like we only had the camera set up in one position for this, because we didn't have time to switch to different angles, because we didn't get far enough, to warrant trying other positions, right? Like I think we only got through like the first page. It's like a 4-page script, and we only got through the first page. And we recorded it from like 1 to 3:30, 3.5 hours. We only got through 1 page. But I was thinking before, and I was like, dude, we probably get like 1 or 2 good run-throughs of the entire script. And I'm like, maybe we'll be able to get in other camera angles, but that's not guaranteed. But at least we'll get through the whole script at least once, right? And we didn't make it. Because I was also thinking that the actors would know at least some of their lines. Like they would even say lines that like I get improvising and all that shit, but like sometimes they would just like skip entire segments, right? And it wouldn't even make sense, right? The situation I was talking about where he's like, Jake says, why didn't he tell me? And she in the show, her name is BB. I don't know where that name came from, but her name is BB. And BB's like, he didn't want you to worry. And then Jake just comes in with, but he's my friend, not you. And I'm like, I'm like, where's that line? I look down, it's like at the bottom of the page. She like skipped like 10 lines, and I'm like, dude, what what? How did you skip all this? You forgot all these lines and you just skipped to the bottom of the page? And because he skipped, the actress is like, I don't know what comes next. I'm like, bro, you gotta be kidding me. But yeah, we did all this stuff, and this was just a practice run, like I said. So like, it wasn't a huge deal. But now I'm kind of worried, okay, because production is only supposed to be like 2 weeks, and if we can only film on Sundays, that means we had last Sunday and this coming Sunday, and those are our 2 filming days, which means this Sunday has to be like our final run through. And considering the shit we went through this past Sunday, things are not looking good for this Sunday. We are not getting through the whole script this coming Sunday. We're just not, even though 1 to 5 hours, you would think that should be enough to get 2 minutes of good footage. It's not. Because we recorded for 3.5 hours, and like, if I'm being honest, I don't think any of the footage we got was good at all. Just, hoping and praying the actors don't listen to this podcast. I mean, it's nothing against them. Like, if I'm being real, like, I know I'm complaining about them a lot. And, I mean, I don't know what their job is like. I'm not an actor. But it's just sort of like, I was kind of like, I had a different expectation for like how this practice run was going to go. And I guess maybe we're not too terrible, because I overheard the actors talking because they thought that we were behind, which we are. But Jake was like, oh, we're not too far behind because so-and-so in this other group, they haven't even gotten their location yet. And I'm like, yo, what group is that? What group hasn't gotten their location yet? I thought ours was the hardest location to get, but there's apparently some group out there that hasn't gotten their location yet. And I'm like, damn, you guys are far, far behind, Anyways, yeah, so he had to leave at 3:30, and so 3:30 rolled around, and we started packing up shit, and we brought it back. And same time this Sunday, we're gonna be recording, and hopefully the actors are there. I should probably send like a reminder text every single day, be like, by the way, we're recording Sunday 1 to 5, just so they know. Okay, so there's no like confusion, like, oh, are we filming today? I'm gonna put like the date. I'm gonna be like Sunday, March, whatever. I don't even know what this Sunday is. Was it Sunday? Is it the 6th? This coming Sunday? I'm gonna put March 6th, dude. March 6th. We're filming 1 to 5. Be there Sunday. Okay. I don't want to hear this bullshit of like, oh, I gotta work, because like I even told him the day that like last Sunday when we were wrapping up filming, I said, okay, we're gonna try to get this same position on Sunday. I need to make sure you guys are free for Sunday 1 to 5. And Jake was like, all right, I'll call off work for that day. And so there should be no mishaps. Okay, there should be no I gotta work or whatever, or like, oh, this Sunday, like, no. Okay, none of that bullshit. Okay, we're all gonna be there. We're all gonna start at 1 because we need all the time we can get to do this fucking thing. But yeah, there's that. And then as I said, like, we even got we're getting started on our second short film, and so we were learning about script writing. Dude, I'm not good at writing, period. Okay, I'm not even going to mention script writing, because that's like a whole new form of writing. Okay, I'm not good at writing in general. Okay, like I had a hard time doing my college essays, dude, and those things are supposed to be all about me. It's like you would think writing a paper all about me would be like the easiest thing to do, but no, I completely drew a blank on everything. I was like, dude, I don't even know how to write. I need to go back to second grade, learn how to do cursive, go back to kindergarten, learn how to just write, period. But yeah, so like, I'm not good at writing, and but I'm not gonna pin script writing on one of my other group members, because like, I mean, I don't know, unless I'm mistaken, they don't look like writers either. So like, we're probably gonna have to all work together, and our script is gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so cringe. Like it's gonna be like such stale content, such stale lines. Be like, hey man, what's up? Good. How are you? You know? And be like, wow, this is some cutting edge stuff here, you know? And I don't even know what our script is gonna be about, you know? It's supposed to be like a 5-minute short film, this one. And I'm like, dude, like I don't even like know, like how do you tell a story in like 5 minutes, like a good story, you know? I'm kind of like trying to come up with an idea that requires no words whatsoever, because I've gone down a rabbit hole a few times of like watching people's short films for like applications to like film schools and stuff like that, trying to like get my mind flowing for like when I apply and all that stuff. And so I've seen a few where there's like no lines, or there's like 1 or 2 lines in the entire short film, and it's like a 5-minute film. And so like I'm trying to come up with an idea where like I don't even have to write words, right? I just say, okay, fam, do this, and that's our film. No need for words, no need for any of that shit. Okay, just walk, you know, and do your thing. That's the entire thing. But yeah, I'm coming up with blanks. But yeah, it should be fun though. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to coming up with a fresh idea, doing a whole script, and you know, doing the entire thing. But you know, if we had the same actors for this project as we do for the first short film, like this is gonna be bad. This is gonna be a lot of work. Oh, man. But yeah, that's the update I got on the short film. And until next Sunday, you know, hopefully next Sunday things will be better. I don't even know if we're even going to consider this coming Sunday as like official production, or if we're still going to practice. I mean, we're going to have to do official production at some point, but you know, our professor's pretty understanding with like this project and like just like things in general. And so like I kind of feel like he'll like give us a pass and like give us maybe 2 extra Sundays or whatever, depending on how many filming days other groups had, and considering how difficult it was for us just to get our location, and now we only have it for like 1 day from 1 to 5, you know, maybe he'll be a little bit generous, you know, and be like, hey, you know what, I'll give you guys 2 extra weeks to finish up production. We're probably going to need 4, but you know, I'll take 2. Anyways, yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Lion on Main. I've been your host, Jay Lyons. Whatever you guys are listening to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow, and leave a review. If you don't want to type out a review, if you figure out how to write like I did, just give me 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. All that shit really helps me out a lot. And follow me on social media at RealJLyons and at Lion on Main on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And oh fuck, you know what? Episode's not done. Not done. There's still one thing I want to talk about. I almost completely forgot about it. I want to talk about this new game, Elden Ring, okay? It's all the craze on Twitter, okay? Everyone's talking about it. It just came out like February 25th or whatever. And it's apparently part of like the Dark Souls game series, which I've never played a game. But like when I was younger, when like those games were out, or like when they came out or whatever it is, I went over to my friend's house one time, and he was playing Dark Souls 2, I think it was. And so like I saw him play it, and I was never really into those types of games, like those role-play fantasy medieval whatevers. You know, I was never really into that. You know, like when you fight dragons, you're like a knight or whatever, and you're fighting a dragon, and you're using like a tree branch to do magic or whatever. I was never really into that kind of stuff, you know. I was into like GTA, Red Dead Redemption, you know, Alien Isolation, like those types of games. You know, like I was never really into like the medieval stuff, because also there was just like way too much shit in that game, you know. But like I said, I saw him play it, and like, dude, I just saw him get pummeled all the time. Like he was going up against like this boss. I don't remember what the boss was. It was probably a dragon, but like he would die in like one hit, and I'm like, dude, how do you find joy in this game? Like you're just you're dying repeatedly. But also, I thought that he was only dying a lot because he was bad at the game. I didn't realize how difficult those bosses are in those types of games. And so, you know, Elden Ring came out, and everyone was talking about it, and I didn't know it was a part of Dark Souls until after I bought it. But everyone was talking about it on Twitter, and I was like, maybe I should look into this game, And so like, I bought it, and as it was downloading, I was watching some videos and stuff, and there's so much into it, and dude, I'm so lost on everything, like they're saying like words as if like they're part of everyday language, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. Like, okay, you're gonna want to summon the ashes of the wolves to fight the Demogorgon, and I'm like, summon the ashes of the wolves? What does that even mean? And they're like, okay, yeah, you're gonna want to summon Sorcerer Jorge or whatever, because he's gonna do the sign of tranquility against this boss guy, and he's gonna give you an up in your damage. And I'm like, I'm okay, I'll just take your word for it. And so I just watched a few videos, and one of the videos I watched was like which character to choose, because there's like 10 different classes you can choose to start from. And so I'm like, okay, I have no idea like which one is good, because like when I was looking at the classes, I wanted to be the bandit because I'm into stealth. I like stealth games. That's why I'm like really into like survival horror games, because like you're required to be stealth all the time, or else you're gonna die because you have like no means to defend yourself. So like I'm into those games, and so I really like stealth stuff. Like even in GTA and like Red Dead and all that, like I would always do stealth approach first for like everything that allowed me to, because it's just so much fun to play that way. And so I wanted to be the bandit because like they really focus on stealth and all stuff. But when I was watching like this character customization video, whatever, this guy was talking about, I was like, hey, if you're new to Dark Souls games, you don't want to do the bandit, because like it's really difficult to start out on, and it's like a hard character for people who are new to the Dark Souls universe and all that stuff. And so my next choice was the samurai, not because I'm into samurais or anything, which I mean they're cool and shit, but like my next choice was samurai because I heard a lot of people talking about samurai and talking about how like it's really good, and so I'm like, okay, that'll be my next choice because everyone likes it apparently. And so the guy said that the samurai was a good choice. He's like, that's a good character to start out on. And so I was like, man, I really want to be the bandit, but I'll do the samurai, because he's like, it's good. The samurai is good because you get a lot of armor and your sword does a lot of damage, and you get a shield and all that stuff. Like the bandit, like you get like no armor because like you're not supposed to be fighting. You're supposed to be doing everything stealth and all that stuff. And he's like, and you get like a knife or whatever, and like that's pretty much it. Like that's what you start out with. So he said it's difficult to start out as that character. So I was like, all right, fine. I'll be the samurai, and I'll just be the samurai and do stealth stuff, even though like I'll probably have a harder time completing things in stealth because there's so many different like stats that you can upgrade, and each one pertains to a different thing. And so like I'm the samurai, and so like my stealth bar is like really low. So I guess that means I'm heard more easily when I'm in stealth or whatever. I don't know. But like that's another thing. Like the stats, like they choose like random ass words, okay, for your stats. Like arcane. I don't even know what that means. What does that word even mean? And I was watching like this video where this guy said arcane, when you upgrade it, that means like you have a better time finding like good shit on like fallen enemies or something like that, or like you're more likely to get something from a fallen enemy, right? And so I'm like, okay, I guess that's what arcane means. There's another one called like dexterity. Don't even know what that means. I don't even remember what dexterity even does. I think dexterity is stealth, but I'm not entirely sure. And then like the top one is called vigor. I don't know what that means either, but that apparently ups your HP, right? Like your health bar. And so like I was just upgrading the shit out of that at the beginning. I upgraded that to like level 20. I started out on like 14 or something like that. I upgraded that to 20 because I like to have a shit ton of health, Just in general, I like to have a lot of health. But yeah, so I upgraded that, and dude, there's just like some random ass words, right? And I'm like, This is so difficult, and there's like so many stats. Like, oh my God. I jumped into the game and they're like, okay, when you press the pause button, which, I mean, it's not really a pause button, but normally in games, the button you press is for pause. I don't know what the button is called. I'm playing on the PS5. It's like the little side button next to the touch bar or whatever. But it's usually the pause button, but you can't pause the game, which I don't understand. But it's like when you press that, you get into like this menu, right? And you could check your equipment, your status, all this shit or whatever. And like I jump into like equipment and there's just numbers and words all over the place. Like I feel like I'm looking at a spreadsheet from NASA or something like that. And I'm like, what is all this? What does all this shit mean? You know, like I was so confused. I'm like, this is why I don't enjoy these games, because there's so many stats to think about. I don't know like what I should be upgrading, right? Like I've only been upgrading vigor because that upgrades my health bar. Also because I don't know what the other stuff does. And I don't know how important it is, you know? Like I said, I think dexterity is for stealth, but I haven't had an issue with stealth stuff at the moment, you know? And plus like, usually like I'm just going in guns blazing anyways, because I'm like, you know, screw it, I'm a samurai, I'm not a bandit, might as well just go in guns blazing, or I should say swords blazing, because there's no guns in this game because you're in the medieval times. But yeah, and then like it's a lot like Jedi Fallen Order. I don't know if they're by the same company or something like that, or if like, yeah, I don't know if they're by the same company, but it's like similar with like, they got like these sites of grace, right? That you go to, and that's sort of like your save point. That's where you can like upgrade your character, learn new stuff, and if you die, that's where you respawn, right? And it's sort of like Jedi Fallen Order because they have like meditation spots. It's the same thing. You go there and you meditate, and you can upgrade your skills, upgrade your character, and if you die, that's where you respawn and all that stuff. So it's like the same thing. So I kind of felt like I would have an easy time with this game per se, because I played Jedi Fallen Order and it's like similar and all that stuff, but dude, I did not have an easy time. Oh my God. I go up against like the first boss. His name is like Margit or something like that. The Fallen or something. Dude, I couldn't get him. I couldn't get him to like 3/4 health. Like I get like 2 hits in, and then I die immediately with like 1 hit. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? How do you beat the first boss of this game, you know? And they even have like this like summon thing like right at the entrance of like the boss arena, whatever you want to call it, where you can summon like an NPC character who's like a warlock or whatever. And he's the guy, his name is like Sorcerer Jorge. I don't know if that's how you actually say his name, but that's just, whenever I see his name, that's what I think. I'm like, okay, this is Jorge. But yeah, so I called him because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna need some fucking backup. And I can only get Margit down to like half health with like this wizard on my team, you know? Like I'd have the wizard distract Margit while I just like attack the shit out of Margit's back, and like to no avail. Jorge dies immediately, and then like then Margit turns around and just smacks me with a stick, and I'm dead. And I'm like, fuck, dude, how do I beat this thing? You know? And then I was confused. I go to like a site of grace or whatever, and like this chick appears to me, and she's like, okay, I'm gonna give you a horse, and by the way, you're tarnished. And I'm like, that's kind of rude to say to someone that you just met, but apparently tarnished is like a good thing. Like people keep calling me tarnished in the game. Like NPCs, they're like, "Oh, you're tarnished." I'm like, "What does that even mean? What do you mean I'm tarnished? I'm looking flawless right now in my samurai gear. What are you talking about? I'm tarnished." And they're like, "Oh, you know, you got to get the rings, and only the tarnished can do it." And people hate the tarnished. And I'm like, "What did I do? What did the tarnished do? Who's the tarnished?" Like I'm so confused. Oh, and then like, also the chick's like, she's like, "I noticed that you got no maidens." And I'm like, that's another rude thing to say. That's like saying you got no bitches, you know? And I'm like, how are you coming up here just like, I'm just chilling at a site of grace. And you just like appear to me and you say, by the way, here's a horse. Oh, and then by the way, you fucking suck, dude. You're tarnished and got no bitches. You know, like, You roast me and then you give me a horse. Like, what kind of game is this, dude? I still don't know what maidens are. Like, the chick who came up to me, she's like, I'll be your first maiden. And I'm like, I'm not agreeing to anything, okay? I'm just chilling at this campfire because it's like a campfire, even though it's not really a campfire, but it looks like one. But I'm like, dude, I'm just chilling at this campfire. I'm just trying to up my HP. You know, like I'm not on the market right now, okay? I'm single, but I'm not ready to mingle yet, okay? But anyways, I couldn't beat Margit, so I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna backtrack because this is like an open world game or whatever. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back. I'm just gonna backtrack, and I'm just gonna, you know, kill some enemies so I can get some XP, which they're called like runes or something like that. So I'm like, I'm gonna collect some runes so I can upgrade my guy, right? And so, you know, I'm going around the world and I'm just like attacking whoever I see, you know. And then like there was like this one time I'm like riding my horse and I hear like this wolf howl and I'm like, oh shit, there's a pack of wolves. And I'm like spinning my camera around and there's like no wolves whatsoever. Then all of a sudden like this tornado comes down from the sky and I'm like, holy shit. And then like 6 wolves fall from the sky and I'm like, what? And they all started like attacking me and my horse. My horse goes ballistic and he like disappears because he's like a phantom horse or something like that. So like when I get off the horse, he like dissipates, or sometimes he just dissipates randomly. He's like, peace out, I'm out of here. And so he dipped and then I died to a pack of wolves and I'm like, what game is this? What the hell? You know? And like, then like when I died, so I respawned at the site of grace and I decided to go back the direction I went. I'm like, you know what? I'm fucking ready for these wolves now. And so like the wolves drop down and I'm like, you know, I'm like slicing up the wolves with my samurai sword and all that stuff. And I get them on. I'm like, dude, that was lit. And then like I move like 2 feet forward down the path and then like another tornado comes down. I'm like, what? Another one? And so I get all those guys and then like after they're done, it happens to me a third time. I'm like, where did all these wolves come from? You know, like, why are they falling from the sky? You know, like, we're in the middle of a forest, so it completely makes sense that there's just a pack of wolves in the forest. You don't have to make them come from the sky, you know? But anyways, yeah, so I defeat all those wolves, and then I come up to, like, he's not like a boss, but he's like a very strong enemy, and he's like guarding this door or whatever. And I'm like, okay, I want to get through that door. So I'm like, I'm just gonna get this guy because I had been killing a shit ton of enemies. So I'm like, I'm feeling pretty good about myself. I'm like, yeah, I could totally take this guy on, you know, whatever, easy. And I die immediately. And I was like, well, shit, you know. The worst thing about dying though is that when you die, you like drop your runes, and you got like there's like a spot where your runes are, and your runes is like the form of currency. That's how you upgrade your character, and that's how you buy stuff that you need from like vendors and stuff like that. And so like you need runes. And so I had just killed 3 packs of wolves, so I had like 2,000 runes. So like I'm living life right now, right? And so like I want to get these runes back. So like I respawn on my site of grace. I don't have any runes, and I'm like, okay, let me get my runes. And so I go up, and the guy's already there, and he's like attacking me, and I'm just trying to get to my runes, and then he kills me again. And if you die without reclaiming your runes, you lose them forever. And so I was pissed. I was like, you just made me lose like 25,000 or 2,500 runes. Do you have any idea what you have done to me? So I was angry. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going after this guy. So I respawn and I come up because now I got nothing to lose because I had 0 runes when I fought this guy the second time and I died. And so like I can't reclaim any runes because I didn't have any to lose in the first place. And so like I come up to this guy and like I'm fighting him and I get him down to like half health and then he kills me. And I'm like, okay, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to go around this guy and I'm just going to go through the door, right? And so I go around the guy. I run up to the door and it doesn't open. And I'm like, well, shit. So I guess that means I have to kill this guy in order to open the door because he kind of like appears out of the ground, you know, when you come up towards the door and he starts attacking you. And so I'm like, okay, I guess this guy's guarding the door and I guess I have to kill this guy in order to open the door, right? So I'm like, dude, this kind of sucks. And so my PC's about to die, so I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. But yeah, so I'm like, I'm like, all right, fine. So I have to kill this guy in order to get to the door. And so he kills me and I respawn and I come up and I'm like, all right, I'm going to get him. Right. And so I fight him and like I'm pulling out all the stops, I'm like dodging all this crazy shit. Right. I finally kill him and I was like, yes, now I get to open the door. I walk up and the door doesn't open. And I'm like, okay, I couldn't grab a key off the dead enemy. So how do I open this? And there's a ghost guy sitting next to a door. And I walk up and I didn't know I could talk to him, but I walked up to him because I'm like, might as well see what this is all about. And it actually prompted me to talk to this ghost. So I'm like, all right, fine. So I talked to him and the ghost is like, he's like, oh, why doesn't the door open? Basically saying like the door can't be opened. And I'm like, are you telling me that I spent like 2 hours trying to kill this one guy blocking this door just to get in this door, and you're telling me it doesn't open? You're telling me I could have just avoided this altogether because there's no point in going to this door whatsoever. Okay, my PC died, and then my camera died, so so this kind of sucks. But anyways, I'll just keep it going until I'm finished, regardless, whatever. But yeah, so I couldn't get through the door. Like there was no point in going through the door, and so I was like, dude, you got to be kidding me with this. You know what I'm saying? Like I was pissed. And so I was like, okay, whatever. I'll just go and like get some more runes, right, to upgrade my person, right? So I'm kind of like riding around, and I started getting to like this dark area or whatever, and like it wasn't dark, but it was like red. And it was like everything was dead. That's what I mean by dark, because it was like evil dark. You know what I'm saying? There's like zombies walking around and shit. And so like now I'm killing them and stuff. And then I come up to like this site of grace that's like on a cliff overlooking a large part of the area that I'm in, like the dead area. And so I'm like, okay. So I walk up to the side of grace and I touch the grace, and then I sit down and I rest at the grace. And as I'm sitting there, I kind of look off and there's like this giant ass dead crow. Like he looks like he's been dead for a little bit, but he's like alive or whatever. And he's giant, and he's got like sharp teeth in his beak or whatever. And I'm like, what the fuck is that? I was freaking out. I was like, dude, I'm not supposed to be here. At my current level, I'm not supposed to be here. I think my overall character was like at 15 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. This is too much for my character. And so like I leave the side of grace and I kind of like walk up to the edge of the cliff to see more of the area. And like the crow is like in the tree. And I look and there's like 3 other crows in that tree. And I'm like, oh my God, this is not good. And then out in the distance, there's like this like dog, but he's like a T-Rex. He's like walking on his hind legs and he's got like tiny arms, but he's a dog. He looks like, you ever seen the live action Scooby-Doo? Like the first one? Remember when like Scrappy Dude turns into like a giant puppy, right? That's what this thing looked like. Okay. And I'm like, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm so not supposed to be here, right? But I decided, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna brave the land, and I'm gonna go in. And so I went in, and I was like, I didn't even try to fight any of them because I'm like, dude, I'm gonna die immediately. There's no point in trying to fight these guys. If I can't beat Margit, I'm not gonna be able to beat these Scrappy Doo motherfuckers. Especially when it's like a pack of 4 or something like that. I'm like, dude, I'm not gonna be able to take these guys. And so I kind of like sneak around all these guys trying to check out the area, and it got to a point where I was like, dude, I'm really not supposed to be here. I should just go back and fight Margit because like I had been there long enough and I upgraded my character to the point where like my health was up to like level 20 or something like that. My overall character was like 23 or something like that. I had upgraded a shit ton of stuff. And so I'm like, you know what? I think I can go in and actually fight Margit now, because at least I won't die in like 1 or 2 hits. It would take a little bit because I have more health. So you can fast travel between grace sites that you've visited. And so like I fast travel to the one like right outside the boss arena. And I summoned my sorcerer Jorge because I'm like, bro, I need you. And he's like, okay, I got you. So he spawns in. It took me like 4 or 5 tries after being completely upgraded to beat Margit, but I finally beat him. And I'm like, thank the Lord, And so he was like guarding this castle or whatever. And so I go into the castle and like, I do some other stuff. And so like that's where I'm at right now. I'm like in the castle, kind of like exploring stuff. And yeah, all in all, it's a pretty fun game. It's still not really my cup of tea, Like if you were to ask me like what my top 5 games are, Elden Ring probably wouldn't be in there because it's really not my thing. But it's fun. It's a fun like pastime game, I guess you can say. Like it does feel pretty good when you finally like beat a hard boss or whatever like that, like Margit, especially when it took me so many tries to get him. But yeah, the thing is I have no idea what's going on. Like these characters are, like saying shit to me. They're like, "Oh, you're tarnished," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess." You can talk about my maidens now, And there's like this one guy who's like dressed like Santa Claus, and he's like at a campfire, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to buy something?" And I'm like, "Sure, I guess." What he got, and then like he's got shit that's like way out of my price range, and so I'm like, "Okay, I guess I can't afford it." And he's like, "Oh, you don't like my stuff?" I'm like, "No, it's not that. It's just I don't have money." And he's like, "Fine, don't come back." And I'm like, "Dude, what the hell?" I can't afford your overpriced shit. I've got like 100 runes, and you're charging me 10,000 for like a cookbook, dude. I don't have the money. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll come back later. Even though I have no intention of coming back to that Santa Claus motherfucker. But I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to like get involved in the story because I don't understand the story whatsoever. Because like I don't understand why everybody is aggro to me immediately. Like I got like no friends in this world, Like I'm talking about like NPCs. Like there's no like nice people. Like sure there are. I mean, there's Jorge who helped me out, but I mean like most of the time, like I'm just like walking through minding my own business, and then like this night guy comes out of nowhere and just starts slicing me up, and I'm like, dude, what the hell? I got no beef with you, man. Chill. But yeah, I mean it's an okay game. But yeah, another game that I also got back into was Cyberpunk 2077. And I had gotten the game on the PC like ages ago. Like it came out like December 2020. I think I got it in like March or something of 2021 because it went on sale on Steam. That's how you know the game was bad. It went on sale that early after launch. But especially when it was hyped so much, it goes on sale like 3 months after it came out. Like, yeah, that's not a good sign. But yeah, it went on sale. It was like 75% off. And I'm like, hey, might as well get it, because there was no way I was paying 60 or 70 bucks, whatever the original price was. But, like I'll pay 20 or 30 for it, Anyways, yeah, so I got it, and I mean, it was still pretty new back then, and so like there was a lot of bugs, and the driving sucked in that game. Like it was so hard to drive my car. It seemed like the input was delayed on my PC. Like I'd press left, and it'd be like I don't know, it'd be like a half second or a second before the car actually registered that and turned. It wasn't like immediate. So it was like really annoying. It felt super off because the car was not doing what I wanted it to do. And I also hated that it was in first person because I had just finished playing Red Dead 2, like story mode, and playing a lot of Red Dead Online. And so I was like really used to that. I was really used to third person, and also like playing GTA 5 being in third person. Like most games that I had played were in third person, Battlefront 2, Jedi Fallen Order, And so, going and playing in first person, it was like weird. Like the only first person game that I had played at that point, I think, was Resident Evil 7, And so, and like that makes sense because it's like survival horror, and so it's supposed to be immersive and stuff like that. So I didn't have beef with that. But like Cyberpunk being like GTA and stuff like that, like I didn't like that it was in first person. And so, and also I was super confused playing the game because like all the missions had the same icon, whether it was like a side mission or a main mission. So I didn't know what I was supposed to be doing. You know, it was just like a bunch of yellow dots with exclamation points. And I'm like, okay, which one am I supposed to go to? Because usually like my first playthrough of games, like story mode games, when they have like side missions, you know, once again, like Red Dead and GTA, I usually, like my first time fully playing through the game, I just do the story missions because I just want to know the story. And then I'll go back a second time and I'll try to like 100% complete the game, do all the side missions and do all the main missions and all like the random events and whatever you want to call them, right? So I had a hard time trying to find what the main mission was. And like I stopped playing the game like right at the beginning. And if you've played the game or you know the story, so like the prologue of the game, which I didn't realize this when I was playing the game, the prologue of the game is you doing this big heist thing where you're stealing this like piece of tech, right? And that's the whole prologue, is the setup and the execution of this heist. But like when I was playing this game, I thought that was the entire game. I thought the entire game was like doing this heist, you know? Because they were talking about how this was such a big deal, you know? So I'm like, oh, okay, this is the game. You know, this is the whole story. Right? And so I stopped playing the game like the second mission or something like that because I didn't know where to find it, okay? And so I stopped playing the game. It was like really annoying, and like when I stopped playing, I said like it was the first time I've ever regretted paying for a game, and I even got it on sale. Like I regretted paying money for that game. I was like, dude, I should not have bought this game at all, even though it was on sale. It's completely useless. It's pointless, you know? And so I regretted buying it and I deleted it off my PC. And then I started reading and watching videos more about the game, and I found out that like, because like my first time playing through, I picked the Street Kid version, you know, because it was the one that was most appealing to me. And so I thought that I was playing a certain type of game, like only the Street Kid characters get to play, right? Because the story kind of made sense from a Street Kid perspective, right? And it wasn't until I watched some videos of these people saying like, you're choosing whether you want to be a nomad, a street kid, or a corpo to start out as means nothing, because it's just the tutorial, like the 2-minute tutorial, and then you have the exact same montage, and then you all jump into the same game. Like there's absolutely no difference. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, there's no way, because you hyped up these different starting points so much that like I swear like it gave you a completely different game depending on which position you want to start from. And so I re-downloaded the game and I'm like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna make a new character and I'm gonna do corpo, because that was like my next starting point I wanted to start from. And so I went corpo, and sure enough, it was exactly what they said. You know, it was like a tutorial, and then something happened where I got kicked from the corpo world, and I became a street kid, and it was like the heist again. And then I immediately ended the game because I was tired of playing the tutorial. I was like, okay, the tutorial was annoying as it was, and so I deleted the game again off my PC. And I was like, dude, I can't believe that they did that. You know. But anyways. Yeah, so it's been a while since the game's been out. You know, it's been like a year. And so it went on sale on PlayStation. And I was like, you know what? I'm probably going to regret this again. And so I bought it on the PlayStation because my PC just can't handle downloading games anymore. It has no more room. But yeah, so I got it on the PlayStation and I downloaded it, and I was like, hey, you know what? I'm going to try to stick to this game. I'm going to try to play it and all that stuff. And so I hopped in. I went the Nomad route because that was the only one I hadn't chosen. And a lot of bugs were ironed out. I mean, I still got some like qualms with the game. But overall, I think it's like a pretty good game. You know, if you think about it from the story perspective, like it's a pretty intriguing story, and it did make me think about, because like it's got some choices of like what dialogue you want to do, though most of the time the dialogue changes nothing about the game, but just gives you some more information. And so like I tried to choose alternate dialogues as much as I could, And I mean, it was a pretty engaging game. I had fun playing it, but I mean, it is kind of like Elden Ring. Like, if you were to ask me what my top 5 games are, Cyberpunk probably wouldn't be in it, because I mean, it's still a letdown because I was a part of the hype. You know, I joined him really late. Like, it was like I think I found out about Cyberpunk like probably the fall of 2020. It was like a few months before the game came out. And I remember thinking when I was watching a lot of trailers, I was like, dude, they're promising way too much. There's no way the game is going to be like they are. But I was like, but also, how can you lie about this? You know, like, and why would you lie? You know, you're going to get in big trouble if you're lying about this stuff, you know? And so I was like, it's got to be true, right? And then, like, you know how the game went. It was a complete failure. But like I said, like, it's a pretty okay game. If I'm being honest, I don't recommend getting it. I have to say, at least at full price, I do not recommend getting it. I got it on sale on PlayStation for like $20 as well. It was like 75% off or whatever it was. And so, if it's on sale, yeah, you know, try it out, see what it's like. I mean, it's pretty fun. The gunplay is pretty good. I got used to the first person, though. Still, I would have rather had it be third person, but you know, first person was all right. I got used to it. My biggest problem with first person was like shooting, because I like third person because you get the reticle, you get like the dot. So you just gotta put the dot on the person, and you gotta shoot. Versus like first person where like it's like you're looking down the actual gun. It's a little harder, in my opinion, to like aim and all that stuff. And so, but I think it was a little easier for me because I had played Call of Duty Cold War on the PlayStation for so long, and you know that's all first person and all that stuff. So I guess I was kind of used to it at that point, so it was a little bit easier to get behind. But yeah, it was an okay game. A lot of things though they could have done better. But anyways, yeah, that's kind of my review on 2 relatively new games. Elden Ring is new. I do kind of recommend getting Elden Ring. Unless that type of game really isn't your style. It's a pretty fun game, and also it's fun because since I'm playing the game, it's fun to go onto Twitter and like see all the memes about Elden Ring and like kind of get it, you know, like you know the no bitches meme with Megamind. It's like no maidens, and like I kind of thought that was funny, even though I still don't know what a maiden does or what their purpose is. But it's funny because I don't have maidens. I mean, I got the one now, but like. Anyways, yeah, I kind of recommend getting Elden Ring. And if you're on PlayStation, reach out to me, and like, because like you could do co-op shit, and so like I'd be totally down to play some Elden Ring with some people. I actually, like, one of my friends, he's actually on Elden Ring, though. He's like, I'm assuming he's really into these types of games because he's progressed super far, and so you know, we're talking about linking up today and playing some Elden Ring, and so I'm kind of looking forward to that. So yeah, now this is it. Now that my PC basically died, I did plug it back in, so I have power now, but my camera's dead, so there's really no point. But yeah, that's everything I got to say. So yeah, once again, whatever you guys are listening to this on, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, and leave a review. Or leave 5 stars, whatever you want to do. Make sure to follow me on social media at RealJLines and at Lion on Main on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Love you. I don't know. Do I?